please.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the TAC. Coconino County, Tiffany Kerr.
Present.
Thank you. Coconino County Citizen Representative Carol Covington.
Also present.
Thank you. Sorry, let me just get a couple more people in here. Thank you. City of Flagstaff, Jeff Bowman.
Good morning.
Good morning. City of Flagstaff Citizen Representative Michelle James.
Present.
Thank you. Metro Plan Dave Wessel.
Good morning.
Thanks. NAU Aaron Stahl.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. NAU ASNAU student Brian Traxel is expected. He said he's in class till about 10:05 and then he'll join. CCC Kurt Stoll. I don't think Kurt has joined us yet, but he is expected via Zoom. Economic Development Representative Gail Jackson is excused. We also have Chris Beecher, our attorney for Mountain Line.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. And I will turn it back to you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Rhonda. Next item is our safety minute with Sam Short.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Transit Advisory Committee. The first February safety minute is regarding fire extinguishers. So fire extinguishers can be an important tool in preventing a small fire from growing larger. However, they should not be used on a large, rapidly expanding fire. A fire extinguisher is only meant to help clear a path for you and others to get out of the area safely or put out a small incipient stage fire. It is important that you be familiar with fire extinguishers in your work area and what their limitations might be. For example, a 5 to 10 pound ABC fire extinguisher, like those used at Mountain Line, would only be effective out to 20 feet, and that the chemical foam or powder that is expelled by the extinguisher will only last approximately 12 to 15 seconds. Fire extinguishers are only designed to fight small fires. It is important to know more than just where the fire extinguishers are located in your work area. Make sure you know how to properly use them in case the time comes when you need to extinguish a fire. Always make sure the fire extinguishers in your work area are in good condition by inspecting them. Extinguishers should be periodically checked every 30 days, and there should be a formal check of all fire extinguishers on site annually. These inspections should be documented. Ensure the pressure on the fire extinguisher is okay. There is a gauge that has an arrow, which should be in the green portion of that gauge. If the arrow is in the red portion of the gauge, the fire extinguisher needs to be tagged out of service until it can be recharged. Also, check to make sure the pin is still in place and the inspection date on the fire extinguisher is still valid. Look for rust on the container and ensure that the label is in good readable condition. To use a fire extinguisher, use the PASS or PASS method. P stands for pull the pin. A, aim the nozzle at the base of the fire. S is for squeeze the lever slowly and evenly. And the last S is for sweep the nozzle side to side at the base of the fire. Your nearest fire extinguisher is located just outside of the Vera room inner door to the right-hand side on the wall. Thank you and welcome to the February Transit Advisory Committee meeting.
Thank you, Sam. Next item is a call to the public. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak? Hearing none, we'll move on. Approval of the TAC minutes from January 5th. First, are there any questions, comments, concerns on the minutes? Give folks a couple of seconds. Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thanks, Dave. Can I get a second?
I second.
I get 2 seconds.
Thank you. I think Carol was one of them. So we'll say Carol's the second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are passed. We have a guest speaker today, Cheyenne Grabiak. Hopefully I said that right, from Coconino County Community College, Proposition 438, utilization of funds. Cheyenne.
Madam Chair, she actually is not here yet.
Okay.
So Rhonda would like to go check email and see if we've had a cancel real quick.
Okay. Then we will pause for a moment, do that.
Great. Too bad Jim's not here. You could do a little soft shoe dance, tell a joke, sing a song. Anybody else volunteer?
Anybody have any fun snow stories they want to share while we have a minute? Anybody else really happy it's going to be 50 this weekend? So maybe this stuff can melt a little bit?
Well, I'll take this moment to recognize our team members who have done a phenomenal job of operating in those snowy conditions with a high percentage of on-time performance, and really our fleet and facility staff who are responsible for snow movement, removal, displacement, whatever you would like to call it, at our 167 bus stops.
Oh my gosh.
And here at our facility here, and really have done a phenomenal job of keeping our staff and our riders safe.
I'm sure they're all happy that it's going to be sunny too right now.
Yes, they're all tired.
Can I take a moment, because I don't know if Heather will do it. This is Kate. I'm not sure if everybody saw Heather was nominated for an Athena Award by the Chamber. So the ceremony's next Friday, I think, when they'll announce the winner. But as Jackie said, she's already won in our hearts. So we don't care what the Chamber has to say.
Congratulations, Heather.
Thank you.
Congratulations, yes.
Thank you. Do you want me to share a couple of progress report current events while we're waiting? So we're not
That
sitting
would
in
be great.
silence?
Can we do that? Can we skip around? That would be, do we need Rhonda here to take minutes or anything, or no, it's all recorded, so we should be good?
It's all recorded. It's all
Yes, that
recorded.
would be
So
great, Heather. Why don't you jump into current events?
great. I don't have my current events up, but I can tell you, I'm very happy to tell you, we are currently, as of Monday, people on property fully staffed in our bus driver's position.
Wow.
Now, 6 of those people are still completing training, so they're not driving independently. But with that addition, we should be able to eliminate the mandatory overtime. We should be able to reduce back to normal work weeks. Our staff are working 6 days right now with mandatory overtime, and they're tired. That is partly due because we went back to full service on January 16th, which we knew we needed to do for our public and our ridership. But it's hard on our staff. And so we're very excited and very thankful for our safety team and the training efforts that they have put in. Sheldon, who is our recruiter, that is amazing at connecting with people and getting them in the door and getting them feeling like they belong here right away. And so we're very excited to have 51.5 full-time equivalent operators, and we need 51.5 full-time equivalent operators. So that I will share. I'm very excited to share because we've been here with a lot of staffing shortages stories.
Yeah.
And Rhonda's back.
Okay.
So no message from Cheyenne. I think we should just proceed, and then when she gets here, we can get her into the.
Okay.
So we would propose that the item be tabled until a future, either on this agenda or a future agenda.
Do we need to vote on that?
As the TAC, I don't think you have to.
Okay, great. Then it's tabled. We're moving on. Review the draft board business agenda items. The first and only consent item is advertising policy revision. Jackie.
We actually don't have anything to present, but we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? And I am watching in case anybody raises a hand virtually. Okay, then we'll move on to our discussion items. The first one is review and approve federal and state legislative priorities. And just as a reminder, the TAC does not need to approve anything. We are here to share feedback and questions that help Mountain Line prepare for board of directors having to approve items. But Heather.
So good morning to all of you in the room and online. So we will be asking the board to consider and adopt our state and federal legislative priorities. This is an annual process that we go through. These are in draft format right now because we are still waiting for final priorities from the American Public Transit Association. We work hard, especially at the federal level, to be reflective of what transit's doing across the nation as part of our priorities, because they're putting those good advocacies out on our behalf, and so we try to be very reflective of that. So I'll quickly go through these, but please keep in mind they are still in draft format. We have 4 federal priorities at the moment. The first is to ensure that the annual transit appropriation match the authorized levels, and so that is in keeping with the Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act that was passed in 2022, which we all know brought 30% more funding to transit programs across the nation. And now we just need them to appropriate that funding each year. We are excited the appropriation did just come out, and Mountain Line stands to receive about 100,000 more than we had budgeted. So far, that is still happening, and we're very glad for it, and we'll keep advocating for that. Second is to provide relief for vehicle shortages and employee hiring. Thankfully, Mountain Line is not in a position where we've had trouble obtaining the vehicles that we need. That most of the vehicle shortage is in the smaller vehicle situation, and we're not in a place to replace vehicles of that size today, but we will be in the near term. And so it's really about advocating for things that need to be happening at the federal level to help ease the pain on both vehicle shortages and employee shortages. One of the things you'll note in the employee shortages is a real push to evaluate drug and alcohol testing. So with the sweeping movement across the nation for the legalization of marijuana, CDL employers in general are struggling with employees because use of recreational marijuana has become as prevalent as use of alcohol in many communities. And so we have lost access to a very large portion of employee base. We still want to test for use and impairment, but in case you don't know this, if you choose to smoke weed today, don't take a drug test for 45 days because it will still show that you are positive for use of marijuana and you will still lose your job under federal regulations. Spare ratio flexibility, this is about that transition that we're working on, taking vehicles from fuel and diesel buses to zero emission, no matter what type of zero emission you go to. There is a concern about the resiliency of some of those fleets. Can the electric buses travel as far on a single charge as a diesel bus goes? And so some systems are looking at increased backup ratios, and FTA does restrict how many buses we have on property as backups. And so this is about that movement to ensure that we have the backup that we need to make this transition. And the last one is just looking at what revenues are used for transit. We are dependent upon the gas tax, as are a lot of different programs. And this is a movement to ask the federal government to look at what are we doing with electric vehicles that don't pay gas tax? How do we ensure that we replace that much needed funding source? So I will pause, see if there's any questions, comments, or concerns with these federal priorities.
Questions or comments for Heather? Hearing none. Thank you, Heather.
Right. I didn't say this at the beginning, but you'll notice there's a parenthesis after most of these statements just to show where we're getting these priorities from, just across our transit groups. State priorities, there's only really one new state priority. We have maintained the 3 marked ongoing. These are from last year's priorities as well. We did spend last year advocating for that $6 million capital ask. And so now we're not asking really for money as an agency. We are joining the Arizona Transit Association in an effort to secure state funding for transit. We are asking for a reoccurring funding to be approved that would allow all transit systems within Arizona to secure those federal funds that have been appropriated to us and keep them in Arizona. This money is being targeted to match capital requests specifically. So it's not going to be used to expand operating services, but it will be the first time in many years that we have asked the state for reoccurring funding. And if you're not aware, the state has not contributed to transit since 2009, when there was a change in how lottery funds were used. This is a large ask. It's about $12 million in a reoccurring pot, but it's a not to exceed 12 million. So it's not that every year all 12 million would be spent from the state, and ADOT would manage how those funds work. So we are joining HESTA in that effort. The other three are from our prior year legislative priorities, and they are things that we will be focusing on in conversations with state leadership. So we'll pause and see if there's any questions on these state priorities.
Any questions online? Or in the room? Oh, keep going.
All right, and this is my last slide. Although the staff report says it's state and federal priorities, I do not want to lose track of this local priority that we have, and this is in our strategic plan. It's been supported by many of our partners. In fact, I just talked to city staff about this past week. It's really about codifying transit within city planning efforts, county planning efforts, and ensuring that our 5-year transit plan is adopted so that the city and county or others could use those in directing developers on how they should or could contribute to transit. So these are just a few of the things that we have sought in the past, and it's just that ongoing effort to really ensure that we get transit within city codes. And that's everything that I have for you, Madam Chair, but again, I'm happy to answer any questions. So.
Thank you, Heather. Not seeing any questions. We'll move on. Cybersecurity policies, John.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, our guest speaker has arrived.
Okay, then we will untable the tabled topic and go back to Cheyenne from Coconino Community College, Proposition 438, utilization of funds. And Rhonda, if you can take the screenshots back, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, and let me just, yeah, because that was gonna take. And there should be a.
Okay. Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Cheyenne Graviat. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator at Coconino Community College. I have a short presentation today following up about Proposition 438 as well as some other college updates. So this is just a reminder of who we serve. We serve all of Coconino County. We have 3 locations, 2 here in Flagstaff as well as a Page Center. I just want to start off by just thanking everyone in Coconino County for supporting the college and helping us to get Proposition 438 passed. We're very grateful for the county support, and we're also very grateful for this increase in funding that we're going to get. And we're really excited to be able to better support our community here in Coconino County. This is just kind of a reminder of what Proposition 438 was. The language can be a little bit confusing sometimes. So basically what the college had asked was to increase our primary property tax rate. So our previous rate was about 0.43. We wanted to increase that. So what that means is that the total levy for property taxes that the college raises, we're asking to increase that from 8.7 million to 14.7 million. So a $6 million increase in the property tax levy. This graph here shows how we compare to the other smallest Northern Arizona community colleges. So that $6 million increase in the property tax levy is on about a 20% revenue increase for the college. It kind of helps put us on more of a level playing field with the other community colleges here in the state. The way the funds are distributed, and the way it was written for the legislature is that we don't get the total $6 million increase all at once. It's issued out in 3 phases. The reason that it's issued out in these phases is it helps the college to kind of plan how to use this funding, and kind of helps us ease into this increase in funding. And so in those 3 phases, phase 1, which was this past July, we got the first $2 million increase. This upcoming July is phase 2, we'll get the $4 million increase, and then phase 3 in 2 years. And then the following years after that, we'll get the total $6 million increase in the property tax levy. This is kind of just a graph showing, so year 1, about 2 million, year 2, 4 million, and then year 3 in the following years, total 6 million. So we're going to be using this funding to continue to expand our career and technical programs, especially the ones that were started with one-time funding, starting some new career and technical education programs, as well as increasing our scholarship opportunities for students so that they can get through the college relatively debt-free and have some more opportunities for funding. And then just a side note here is that this increase in funding is not going to be used for building new facilities. Later on in the updates, there'll be an update about a new facility going up in Page, but that's going to be funded through some different grants and some other ways, and not through the property tax increase. So some of the programs that we're going to be expanding, ones that were started with one-time funding, the automotive technology, which has been very successful here in Flagstaff. Unfortunately, in the fall, our instructor had left to get back into the industry, but we did hire a new instructor. And so we're hopeful that we can expand that program, maybe get some more bays opened up to us so that we can offer more courses and have some more students getting through that program. The CDL program has also been very successful. Last time I spoke to the instructor, it's a 100% pass rate, and then 100% once the students finish getting into the workforce industry with that license. And so we'll be doing some classes up in Page, and hopefully expanding it up there in Page as well. And maybe if the opportunity arises, spreading out throughout the county as well, and being able to offer that in some of the more underserved communities of the county. We're going to be expanding our early childhood education certificate, as well as our assisted living caregivers certificates. The assisted living was something that we started with these new facilities going up, the need to get the staff in those facilities. And so that's one of the certificates that we got to offer. And then also our Google IT and Amazon Web Services. So those aren't specific to Google and Amazon. That's just who designed those certificate programs, but they're short certificates to get students into the IT field and get them into the workforce relatively quickly. I believe it's a 1-year program. Those have been very popular here in the county, so we're going to be continuing those. Some of the other programs we're going to be continuing, the cybersecurity associate's degree, as well as increasing the number of students that we have in our nursing program. So we've hired some new nursing faculty, and so hopefully we can get some more, have the capacity to have more students going through that each year. The Marine Maintenance Technician Program is a program we're going to be starting up in Page, to help serve the Lake Powell and getting some trained workforce up there, Page. As well as expanding our welding certificate. Right now, we currently offer 2 courses, but we're hoping that we can expand that and offer some higher certificates and offering some more courses in welding, as well as continuing and expanding our HVAC, which has also been a very popular program here at Coconino Community College. Some of the new programs that we're going to be expanding and offering, we now have the Police Academy, which was a partnership with the Flagstaff Police Department, Coconino County Sheriff's Department, and NAU. So they're using our classrooms and doing some classroom stuff for their Police Academy. And so we're going to be expanding that and seeing how we can work better with them, as well as our manufacturing technology. So the industry such as Gore, we're going to be getting students training to fill those needs here in the county. And so that's a 1-year program. First semester, kind of getting an intro to what manufacturing technology is. The second semester, getting more into the specific area of manufacturing technology that the students are looking to get into. Our non-destructive testing, that's a program that's currently ongoing in Belmont, and we partnered with them to offer it through the college. They mainly serve veterans, and they're working with the VA And what non-destructive testing is testing things such as pipelines and the structural integrity of projects such as that. And those programs those students are coming out of there making a starting salary of about $100,000 a year. So we're excited to be offering a new program that's going to really help serve the veterans here in the county. Our Habitat for Humanity starter homes. You can see the image here, and if you look over driving by the Murdoch Center, you can see that first home. And I do believe I saw the news that actually that first home is going to be purchased soon by a single father here in the city. And so we're very excited about that. Our students helped to build those homes with Ken Myers in our construction technology courses. And so we're excited for ongoing projects such as that, where our students can get that hands-on experience, and that hands-on experience is something that's actually going to really be directly beneficial to our community. And so we're really excited about that program. And we're also going to be expanding our paramedic program. And so that was previously under the umbrella of the healthcare facilities, but the college has taken that over, and we're going to be expanding that, getting some new equipment so that our students can have that hands-on experience with the equipment they're going to be using in the field, and hopefully getting some more students through that program. So for our scholarships, we're going to be expanding the opportunities for scholarships for students so they can graduate hopefully debt-free or with relatively little debt. And we're also going to be continuing our free summer program. If you're not familiar with that, it's a program we offered this summer for graduating Coconino County high school seniors. They could take free college courses at Coconino College campuses. And so we had 86 students take advantage of that this past summer. And so we're going to be continuing that, and hopefully getting some more students to get those free courses under their belt before they start, whether it's at a university or at community college. Some other updates: we signed an agreement with the other community colleges here in Northern Arizona so that we can better share our resources to serve the entire Northern Arizona community. The student and workforce housing is in the planning phases right now. And Page, if you're familiar with the Page Library is and the campus is, there's that little open area just kind of below the campus where they're going to be hopefully putting up some student housing and workforce housing. So student housing during the semester, and then workforce housing when Page gets flooded with workforce groups during the summer. And so that's still in the planning phases, and that's going to be funded through some other means and not through the property tax increase. But we are very excited about this. This will be our first housing project for the college, and that's something we're very excited about. And also the Arizona Commerce Authority, with that increase in the movie industry here in Arizona, we'll be offering production assistance certificates so that people can get into that field here in Arizona. We've renewed some of our contracts with the healthcare facilities so that our nursing and healthcare students can get their practical experience here in the community. And then also our summer bridge program, which is a part of our Strengthening Indigenous Student Success program. It's for non-Native American students. They will come to campus during the summer for a 6-week course. It's an English 101 course designed for Native American students and a cultural readiness course. And so we had 40 students enrolled, 24 in Flagstaff and 16 in Page, which was really exciting because Page sometimes is really slow during the summer. So this summer was really exciting to see full classrooms. There was a 90% success rate in that, and then 70% of those students continued on at Coconino Community College, and a few more continued on at different universities and community colleges. So it's been very successful. Last year was our first year, and hoping to continue to grow and expand that opportunity. And that's also something that we're excited about, the workforce housing in Page, because not having housing, it makes it more difficult to reach Native students that aren't living in Flagstaff or in Page, just because that commute is upwards of 2 to 3 hours for some students. And so hopefully having housing in Page and maybe partnering with NAU and having some housing, we can get more students to be able to come to campus and get that experience. We launched our Pathways for Single Mothers, which we're really excited about. It's a partnership with the Women's Foundation for the state of Arizona. And so they have this program in Tucson and Phoenix, and now we have it here in Northern Arizona. So it's based out of the community college, but we're going to be serving all of Northern Arizona. And what this is, it's a program to help get single mothers into the workforce. So it's 12 to 18 months, they get a certificate in a growing career field. And the goal is getting them in a field where they're going to be making making at least $45,000 a year to help kind of cover the childcare expenses and kind of help easing them out of the support services here through Arizona. And so through that program, they'll be getting a stipend, and then also they get free childcare. Kind of puts them into a cohort with other single mothers so that they can work through their programs together. We're really excited about it. It's been very successful in Tucson and Phoenix. We're excited to kind of start that here in Northern Arizona. And then also our health science programs, we're just continuing to expand those and fill that need here in Northern Arizona and throughout the state. So we're getting some more students passing through those programs, and then also adding some new programs that are going to be relevant to the new healthcare facility, the new Northern Arizona healthcare facility that's going to be going up that side of the 17. And so we're going to be expanding that and addressing those community needs for those new healthcare positions. And we're just really excited that we have this new money and we can continue addressing the needs of the community. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Cheyenne, first of all, fantastic presentation, very exciting. Congratulations on the proposition passing and all of the improvements. It's fantastic. So that was great. Questions or comments for Cheyenne?
Yeah, just agree with you, Madam Chair, that this is exciting. I've had kids in the program and glad to see it's being strengthened.
Yeah, and I always tell people too at the end of presentations, you know, if there's the need in the community and the college doesn't offer it, it doesn't hurt to ask. So if you know any positions that need to get filled through specific trainings that the college doesn't offer courses for.
May I ask a question? Great presentation, Cheyenne. Curious, our fleet manager, maintenance manager, we are obviously always looking for mechanics that work on heavy duty equipment and buses, and then obviously we're transitioning to EV. In that automotive program, are there discussions about the scope of that and scale of training for mechanics, especially with the EV technology? And I have follow-up to that because I have an idea.
Right, so right now, it's just kind of generic maintenance. So we use one of the bays over at the Finley, and so they open that bay up during the evening, and so they're doing just, you know, just mostly like smaller vehicles, not the diesel mechanic stuff or any of the EV stuff. But I do know that there is a need for that, and I don't know if they've been discussing that yet, but it's definitely something that we can bring up and kind of put into their heads.
So my other thought, or well, we are seeking a new maintenance facility for this location. We're hoping to hear positive news about a grant, but we need to expand our maintenance space, and maybe there's an opportunity long-term, if that would ever be something that Mountain Line could explore with trainees. You mentioned needing maintenance bay. I mean, this facility could have up to 6 bays that in the long term we would need, but in the short to medium, you know, I don't know, just food for thought on that.
Yeah, I can definitely bring that back to the president and the other leadership at the college. Maybe we can set up a meeting and see how we can partner.
Well, I would just offer, we have a number of CDL drivers thanks to the program at CCC. And so we appreciate that partnership. And if you're seeking a partner for large vehicle maintenance, I think Mountain Line would love to have that conversation.
Yeah.
I know we're partnering with you and Northern Arizona University right now on a CDL facility for testing and training. And so I think that, yeah, that would be great. I think we could get all the partners, the same partners, city, county, and AU involved in those discussions. But I think there is an opportunity for us to have the facility if there's a desire to expand that program, and we would love it.
Yeah, definitely. Bring that back to leadership.
Great.
Thank you so much. Any other comments or questions for Cheyenne?
Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
Thank you
having me.
very much. That was great.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
We're going to go jump back up to our discussion action items cybersecurity. John.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the TAC. I prepared a brief 60-minute presentation on cybersecurity policies. I'm just kidding.
I saw the policies. It could be a 60-minute presentation. That is a lot of information.
It is a lot, and I appreciate you kind of making your way through all of it. So a disclaimer up front, the policies are in draft form, so they will need a complete legal review before they head to the board of directors. And we'll provide the TAC with a final copy once they have been adopted, assuming they are. So cybersecurity policies, as much fun as they are to talk about, they're an important foundation for proactively managing cybersecurity risks. It's easy to find lists of effective cybersecurity measures, kind of good things that you should do for cybersecurity. But the policies really explain why you should do those good things. And importantly, since no organization can mitigate all risks, it's kind of zeroing in on prioritizing resources, both what you protect and how you protect it. So, and probably just as importantly, it also clarifies roles and responsibilities for staff. So some of the background on why we need these policies. There's a compliance piece. So you probably know that the cyber insurance requirements have continued to increase. That they're always asking more of us for less insurance in some cases. There's also industry standards such as payment card industry and other standards that we have to comply with. Also, the TSA has put out an information circular, Surface Transportation IC 2021-01, which is currently only a recommendation for bus transit. There's a similar requirement on the rail transit side, but the recommendations include having a cybersecurity incident response plan, and before we have a plan, we should have a policy to back it up. So for all these previously mentioned reasons, I'm recommending that the board adopts the cybersecurity policies, and I'm happy to field any questions TAC might have.
Thank you, John. Questions or comments for John on the cybersecurity policies? Okay, not hearing any. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Next, we've got the FY24 workforce budget and strategies, which is actually going to be shared by Heather.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's like returning to that lazy boy at home that you love and you're comfortable in, because that's how I feel about budget and figures. So I only hope I can represent the information Josh has provided well. This is strictly a review of workforce strategies. This is not asking for action or adoption. It is part of our newer effort within the last couple of years to really break our budget down, bring it in smaller segments and pieces versus a very long discussion that can sometimes lose focus on all the different moving pieces. So this is going to break down those real true line items that support our workforce. So our employees are public employees, and therefore they have access to and are required to enroll in the Arizona State Retirement System. There is an increase anticipated in 2024. These are rates set at the state level. And as a reminder, most of you have public employees, so you probably are aware of this. We match what is deducted from the employee. It does go into their retirement account for them for future use. We also offer a deferred compensation plan, and that is 100% at the employee's choice and the employee's cost. So they would choose what they wanted to deposit, how they wanted to deposit it, and we would deduct it from their payroll accordingly. For the overall range of insurance benefits that we have, we are a participant in the Northern Arizona Public Employee Benefit Trust. So our benefits are very similar to the city of Flagstaff's, Coconino County's, the school district, the community college, because we all participate together. I think Northern Arizona University has the benefit of the state program, which is a little bit different, but otherwise We offer our employees the same bevy of insurance choices as our other public partners. This year, there's no increase to vision, to dental, or to life, and those are all policies we provide at 100% for the employee only. The employee can choose policies and plans for their families, but again, it's at the employee's cost. We have a medical program. We are predicting that that's going to go up by $136,000 for fiscal year 2024. And there are two reasons for that. One, the rate structure is changing and increasing for all participants within the trust. And two, we are changing our strategy for employees with dependents. And I think there's a secondary slide that talks a little bit more about that. Maybe not. So I see there's a bullet point here. So we, for years, have been at a pretty much 55-45 split ratio with our employees. We are changing that ratio to match what the city of Flagstaff does. And there is a chart that's going to show you those numbers. It affects about 30% of our employees that have family coverage, most significantly. So here you can see the column that says employee change. All of those negative numbers is the amount of increase the employee sees in their take-home pay because of this change in how we're going to share the cost for family coverage. So this is a strategy about retention and ensuring employees have that take-home pay. And all of us are subject to the increase, but this is a split change that specifically affects those employees who have family insurance coverage. The high deductible plan does provide a health savings account, and that's a deposit we make into that health savings account on their behalf, and then the employee can use it to offset their out-of-pocket cost for themselves and their families. Our budget for fiscal year 2024 does reflect the fact that the minimum wage in Flagstaff did increase. We all know this, it's not a secret. And we are looking at and considering what future might look for us. For example, if CPI stays where it's at, minimum wage could go to as much as $18 per hour next January. That's in the middle of fiscal year 2024. So we're trying to account for that in our budget setting. And so what that looks like is a $215,000 increase for pay plan and pay changes. So we do still propose to continue with our pay plan, which the 4.5 for people on step, 3% for people in open ranges. That's been in effect since 2020 when we did the wage adjustment in the spring of that year. We are still waiting for the results of a minor compensation review. So we know the city recently moved wages. We know Coconino County recently moved wages. We know minimum wage moved. And so we are just testing to see how competitive we remain. We did do a $3 pay adjustment in the middle of fiscal year 2021. Sorry, my dates are a little mixed up right now. I think it's 2022. That was a wage change. We did not see our partners do it at the same time. So we are not expecting a significant finding in this review, but in light of the minimum wage, in light of the concerns about returning to being short on staff in our hourly positions specifically, we are asking to have that just tested briefly, and we have built some capacity in our workforce strategy budgets to account for a pay change if one is recommended. Of course, we wouldn't change wages if there was no recommendation. We would just stick to the pay plan that was board adopted several years ago. We offer different policies on leave and recognition. These are our existing policies. The only change on the screen is the addition of evacuation leave. This came out of the fires last summer, in which we had employees who could not report to work because of evacuation status. And so we have determined we will add it as an available resource if the person's home address is in an evacuated area. We would provide them with access to an additional pool of leave to deal with that. We continue with our workforce development strategies. These all have been in existence for a while. As you may recall, during COVID, we moved our EAP, Employee Assistance Program, from 6 sessions per year to 12 sessions per year. We have had employees take advantage of it. It is a low cost because not a lot of staff do access it, but we know when someone needs it, it's important for it to be available. So we'd like to keep those 12 sessions available for whatever they need to see assistance for. We did add in the last year a housing assistance program, and I want to be clear, it is a loan program. It is not a stipend, it is not a gift. We loan an employee money to assist with getting into an apartment, moving to a new location. So it might be security, it might be first and last month. We have found that we can help them with their housing. We're not seeing them leave their job here because of a housing crisis. And so we added this in. They do repay it. We work on a payment plan that is reasonable for them to repay it. And I know of at least 2 employees who took advantage of this in the last year and really ensured that they stayed here and employed, and that's important to us as an agency. We continue to have the referral bonus and the stay on bonus. And then of course we offer paid training for the CDL program. So even if you don't go through CCC's program and we hire you, we will pay you while you earn that CDL. We will assist with the cost of getting the CDL, the permit fees, the medical fees, et cetera. And the hope is that you'll stay employed here. We used to have a reverse where there was an employment agreement, they had to stay for 18 months or pay us back. We have done away with that. But overall, we replaced it with the stay-home bonus. So instead of using a stick, we're using a carrot. But we are not seeing employees leave with that CDL at this point in time. So it's working. We are proposing to keep it in place. So those are all the different things that we are doing around workforce and budget line items. All told, it was about a $300,000 change for insurance and for wages. Of course, the line item budget will come back to the board for additional consideration in May and then adoption in June. But I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Suggestions to make this more clear for the board are also welcomed.
Thank you, Heather. Comments or questions for Heather?
I think the fact that you're fully staffed speaks to how well these things are working in the direction you're heading, so.
And I'll just clarify, we are fully staffed in our CDL positions.
CDL position, yes.
We are still short a mechanic. That has been a problem for a year. You're short an HR manager. That's been a problem for a year. So yes, but we're in a good place. We feel like we are improving that technique and ability, and we're hoping to narrow in at least on the HR managers.
That's shape up. That's a hard deal.
Thank you, Heather.
Of course.
The next item is the annual update on the bus stop program. Jeremiah McVicker.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of TAC. So I did not prepare any slides because this is just a brief overview of what we did last year's fiscal year. So for everyone new, our bus stop program, we try to hit all of our bus stops at least once a week for primary care, and then another time for what we call hotspots, quick care, cleaning up the trash, keeping everything looking beautiful for our. We strive to keep everything in a state of good repair. So this program I'm discussing is not adding, it is just maintaining. Our annual budget is about, ranges from 103,000 to 140,000 a year. So on to our last year's catch up. So usually we do about 8 shelters and amenities a year. This year we managed to do 5 shelters and amenities and 11 bus stops, or 11 logo stops. With the logo stops, we managed to get so many because we did a rehab. So we just took them down, had them refurbished. So the structure was still there, trying to maintain the life of the asset rather than just replace. We constantly view our bus stops every year. We go out, check them all, and we evaluate them. So they go from medium, low, high priorities, and this is based on appearance. So whether it's rust, safety, was a hit, or even the small amenity improvements, like we have a shelter, but we have no trash can we add it to improve what we currently have? So the 5 stops were primarily, all around 10 years. And then the logo stops were right about 8. So we did the logo stops a little early because we're trying to maintain metal, keep the rust off of them, and maintain the shelters. So last year we did actually end up coming under budget by 4,000. So I was excited about that. I know it doesn't sound like much, but with the inflation, it's been killing me in every other department. So. Does anybody have any questions before I continue?
Any questions for Jeremiah? Okay, and under budget is under budget, Jeremiah, so.
I agree. That's why I'm excited about it. So with inflation, everything keeps going, so. We also did manage to replace one of the shelters at CCC, which was a partnership. So CCC owns the bus stop itself. We managed to partner with them and tear it down and put in one that matches the system, making it look just like the rest of our system, which was a plus. And other than that, that is about all I have for what we managed to accomplish, unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions? Oh, hearing none. Thanks,
All
Jeremiah.
right.
Appreciate that. Oh, wait, Michelle's got a question. Michelle.
Yes, hello. Sorry, I was a little slow on getting that hand
That's
up.
okay.
I was wondering about how you decide which bus stops get the trash can and the bicycle rack.
So it's based on our amenity map. So 2019, we went through and evaluated our whole system, trying to keep it as fair and equal through the whole system, not just for one area. Sometimes with the older style shelters, we couldn't fit due to constraints, but it called for a trash can, bike rack, the extra amenities. And so maybe this year we added a smaller shelter so we can get those other amenities because it just fit better in the community.
Great. I was just wondering if there was something to do with the locations, like, places where, like, I was thinking along the Foots Trail along Route 66. Are there people who could ride to a bus stop there and leave their bike and go to wherever they're going?
We try to pick whether the shelter, logo stop, bike racks are picked by how used the stop is. So the more patrons we have using that stop, we try to increase the amenities. So like 66 is highly used. That's why you drive down. Most of them have amenities at all stops. And then you start going down 5, and in between we have less. We have more sign stops because they're just used less. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thanks so much.
Any other comments or questions for Jeremiah? Okay, thank you. That was great.
Thank you.
The next topic is Mountain Line Bamboo Program with Estella.
Thank you, Chair, members of the TAC, Estella Hollander, Mobility Planner with Mountain Line. And I'm here to provide an update regarding the Mountain Line Vehicle Program. So the Mountain Line Vehicle Program is a shared ride transportation option. It's meant for riders of 5 or more making commutes of 12 or more miles in one direction. And so it's very similar to a carpool. It's for people making commutes with either a start or end in Coconino County. And so it's similar to carpool in the sense that riders are drivers. This is not something that Mountain Line operates, as well as the routes and rules in terms of pickup times, pickup locations, and drop off. Those are all established by the group. And it's not like a carpool in the sense that we have a partnership with Commute with Enterprise. We have a contract with them where the vehicle is provided to the group. And there's equitable cost sharing. So the group equally splits the lease of that vehicle. And Mountain Line provides a $400 subsidy to each vehicle each month to reduce that lease cost. And this subsidy is provided by a grant from ADOT 5311, which is the Rural Transportation Program, and then Coconino County provides the local match. And so we've recently had some great news in the van pool program where from the last 6 years, it's been fairly steady, around 5 to 6 vans. Luckily, this program was not affected by COVID very much. We actually did not lose any vans. We actually gained 1 van for Tuba City Regional Medical for a temporary van. But then recently, kind of in the last several months, we have doubled the program. So in fiscal year 2022, we have 5 vans, and this current fiscal year 23, we have 10 vans. And that's largely due to some increased marketing, is really just getting some great partnerships with, for example, Winslow Indian Healthcare Center. We recently started 2 vans with them, as well as with Kaibab Forest Service. They've also been using the program quite a bit. And I think a large part of it is to the increased gas prices as well. I think that can contribute to the increase in van pools. So some of the locations for van pools, majority, so 9 out of 10 start in Flagstaff and then go out either to within Coconino County or in Yavapai. We do have 1 van from Loop. So currently all of our van pools are also all employees from a certain employer. So we have had some vans where maybe people worked in different locations, but they still carpool together or van pool together to their end location. But this one actually is all kind of either sponsored or we've had great partnership with the employer. So for example, Kaibab, they have 4 vans going from Flagstaff to Williams to different areas in Williams and at different locations. Winslow Indian Healthcare, this has we've been working with them for over a year to try and get a couple of van pools going. So happy to see that they have recently come online, where 1 is from Loop to their facility in Winslow, and then we have 2 from Flagstaff. Coconino Forest Service, where we have Flagstaff to Sedona and Flagstaff to Happy Jack, and then Northern Arizona Healthcare Center for Flagstaff to Cottonwood. So some of the ridership, this just shows the last couple of fiscal years. You can see kind of March of fiscal year 22 started to increase, where we really got more riders on our existing van pools, and then recently started to increase a bit more compared to the last couple of fiscal years. So yeah, it just showing that again, we've been able to get a few more van pools, but as well as kind of our existing ones, get a few more riders. We've been able to increase the capacity as well, maybe upgrading from a 7-passenger van to like a 15-passenger van of an existing van pool. So some of the outcomes we have, so each month with these 10 vans, it reduces about or over 1.6 million miles each month. So ton of miles, because these van pools are going long distances, around 50 miles one way. So that's huge savings compared to if these individuals would drive by themselves. Riders can save around $560 each month just on gas and all those kind of hidden costs of owning a vehicle, like oil changes, new tires, cracked windshield, etc. And this all equates to around 5 tons of CO2 annually. So huge savings. The picture on the left-hand side is one of the van pools during kind of the height of COVID from one of the medical facilities of Winslow Indian Healthcare Center, and then another van on Hopi Reservation. So funding, as I mentioned in the beginning, this program is supported by ADOT. We receive grant funds through the 5311 program. Then Coconino County pays the local match. Currently funding is at capacity and is really challenged to grow. And as you've seen, we've been able to get great growth with these 10 vans, and we're continuing to get asks. So for example, the Grand Canyon is interested in some van pools. Winslow Indian Healthcare Center, they're opening a new center in Dilcon. Date is to be determined, but hopefully within maybe the next half year to a year. And they would really like to have some van pools going to that facility, as well as I think with the Forest Service, both Coconino and Kaibab. So there's a lot of potential to just keep growing this program. but funding is challenged with that subsidy that we receive. And so the Coconino County provides to Mountain Line around $32,000 annually, which supports 2 programs. So one of those is the van pool program, and the other one is the taxi program. And so we're hoping to move for fiscal year 24 around $10,000 from the taxi program to the van pool program to help and support an increase in that budget, which that'll give us capacity for 15 vans in fiscal year 24. In addition, ADOT, we have budget meetings this spring, and so we're really trying to make the case that we need additional funds to help support additional growth in this program, since we have seen, again, such growth the last year. And to note, staff do feel confident in the taxi program that we have been under budget, so we feel like we can support that move of $10,000 to the van pool program. I believe that is the end of my slide. So from the board, and from you all, we're providing, we're seeking direction, but really no action at this stage.
Congratulations, Stella. That's fantastic. That's great to see such a big growth in the last year. Comments or questions for Estella?
Yeah, I've got a couple, Madam
Go
Chair.
ahead, Dick.
You mentioned funding at capacity. Is that both local and state funding?
Correct. I mean, right now, there's still some local capacity, but it's really that federal grant where ADOT is,
Okay.
kind of capping us off, if you want to call it, not expanding that funding. So we do have some wiggle room with the local capacity, but again, if we could get more federal, then we can match those local dollars and leverage them.
And the IIJA didn't
So
increase that much? I thought that was the focus of.
Thank you for the question. And so ADOT, again, this grant is from ADOT, so they did see an increase. I don't know the numbers offhand of how much the 5311 program did get an increase. And from my understanding, they are distributing all those operation funds out. And that helps. And again, this 5311, it's mostly fixed routes, the rural systems throughout the state. And so I think we're one of 2 van pool programs.
And then my last question, I know in previous planning efforts, you were looking at service to Twin Arrows. What kind of conversations, if any, have you had with Twin Arrows regarding van pool programs?
Yes, we have had conversations with them. We haven't maybe in the last year or 2, so it could be worth starting those over. It sometimes is difficult within the service industry to get like those consistent, that kind of critical mass, because people might start different shifts at different times and they don't always get off consistently. So van pool, that is one challenge with van pool. You need people kind of that critical mass that all start and end at the same time. So we have been challenged with the more kind of service industry type locations, similar like hospital or hotels, like in Sedona and things like that. But it's always worth reaching out again. Sometimes it's the right opportunity and timing for certain businesses.
No, thank you for the explanation. Makes a lot of sense.
Anything else for Estella? Okay, thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you.
And we are going to go back to Heather's summary of current events.
Thank you. We'll take it from here if you don't mind. I have some anniversaries I'd like to share first. You mind just looking? So in February, we're celebrating 6 anniversaries. Their photos are up on the screen with their names and positions. So Paul Ramos is actually a returning employee. He was here with us several years ago in a different position, and he recently returned. He has now completed his first year as a transit operator with our organization. Lisa Connor joined us about 4 years ago. She works in our eligibility, which is a key component of our paratransit program. She knows all of our clients. She knows their numbers, she knows their names, and she really works with them to ensure that the services that they have available are the services that they need. Erlinda Yazzie, a transit operator, has been with us 3 years now, came to us with no experience and does a fabulous job. Joshua Reynolds is a transit operator for 6 years. He tells me every day that he loves this job and he will retire from here. He's very positive and friendly, and the riders really enjoy their interactions with him. Andrew Everett was joined us 14 years ago as our mechanic and is now our lead mechanic. Andrew was instrumental during COVID in creating and fabricating the doors that we have between our driver and our riders. A great member of our team, recently recognized nationally as a transit professional under 40. And Marvin, she is a transit operator finishing 10 years with us. It took us many, many years to get Marvin to accept a full-time job. He loved being a variable staff member and would work as many hours as we would give to him, still continues to do that as our full-time operator extraordinaire. So a couple other things from the staff report or the progress report that was included in the packet. We already talked about staffing. So just compliments again to the team members that have really made that happen. Want to share kudos for Ken Lisinski. Ken is our scheduling coordinator. He implemented a new software in early December, maybe late November. It is really allowing the computer for AI to take our route system and chop it up into driver schedules. And he has had to run and rerun that multiple times because right now we are actually scheduling drivers week by week because we're under the 6-day mandatory need for our drivers. But he's constantly running and rerunning those schedules and changing the system. I will say that for the first time in many years, we are building shifts that give drivers breaks. So drivers now have built into their schedule an automated break. It may be 20 minutes, it may be 60 minutes. We thought we would hear a lot of pushback on that because we do have staff that just want to come in, work till it's time to go home and go home, and they didn't want to take a break. But we are actually hearing a lot of positive feedback about how much they appreciate being able to get out of the driver's seat and move around. And Ken and his role has really been instrumental in making that happen. I did allude to during the workforce strategy presentation that we are still short our HR manager position. This was Danelle Knight. She moved on to Texas a year ago. We are down to 2 finalists, and I think actually we are working with a recruitment firm on that, and they are negotiating wages now. So we're very hopeful that our top candidate will join our team soon. Planning and operations is going to begin testing what we call bus platooning. And that is the intentional bunching of buses on our routes, not what you would normally expect, but we're really doing it to see if we can put the buses in the right place at the right time for the greatest need. And so that would prevent us from leaving riders behind and making them catch the next bus. We would have 2 buses available to meet that group and that demand. So we'll have reports on that in the coming months. If you have not seen the Mountain Bus electric bus launch event invitation, please check your junk mail. We did find that a lot of them did go to junk mail, so we resent it. So you may actually have 2 invites. It's the same invite, February 22nd, 7:30 a.m. here on campus. We hope you will join us for our breakfast celebration to unveil the electric bus that is hidden somewhere on our property. Our leadership team met with Black Star Shelter Services. We learned a little bit more about the shelter and what it makes available during the day and throughout the day for members of our community, and how we too can be good in serving them and their transportation needs. We ended the meeting with a service activity. This is part of a new initiative that was introduced this last year, where leadership will perform quarterly a service activity. And so the team members contributed both time and funding to create care packages that were then donated to Black Star Shelter Services. And I think the last highlight I will share, you can read, there are others, is that we've been contacted by the transportation planner for the Grand Canyon National Park. He's interested in talking about how to connect Flagstaff and the Grand Canyon using public transit. So a very exciting opportunity to at least open the conversation. We, of course, are including Northern Arizona Council of Governments. Our partners in ACOG are extremely important to these conversations about services outside of the area. And that's everything that I have to share with you.
Great. Thank you, Heather. We've got a hand, Carol.
Whoop. Thank you. I just wanted to offer some general comments. The attachments that are available at the meeting, I think it would be a little easier to be prepared if they were provided in advance, and it may be that those are provided in advance to the board. It might just be a timing thing, but that was a suggestion. The other thing was on the staff report template, and whoops, here goes the cat, sorry. I am really happy to see the related strategic plan objective section included in the staff reports, but I was going to suggest that the hierarchy be reflected in the way that the bullets are so that you nest the goals under the related objective. Just a thought.
Thank you for that feedback. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol. Anything else for the good or welfare of the order? Okay, hearing none, just a reminder, our next TAC meeting is Thursday, March 2nd, 10 a.m. And with that, meeting adjourned.
Have a great February, everyone.
Thank you. Enjoy the warm weekend.
That's right.
Happy Groundhog Day.
Happy Groundhog Day. Yay for 6 weeks. Bye, everyone.